So you're looking for a lake house here in Michigan. Well, finding the best lake community in Southeast Michigan is no small task. There's a ton of them, and it can seem overwhelming, and you really don't know where to start. So I got you covered. In this video, I want to break down some of the most popular and, in my opinion, some of the best lake communities to consider when moving here to Michigan. Whether you're moving for, your primary residence and you're going to be living there, or maybe you're just looking for a second home or a vacation home. Either way, these lake communities are going to be perfect for what you're looking for. So make sure you stick around to the end, because I'm going to cover the lake communities, what it's going to cost you to live there, and a little bit about why they're so special. And hey, if we're meeting here for the first time, my name is Eric Meldrum. I'm a realtor with True Living Group here in Ann Arbor and Metro Detroit. And in these videos about all things Michigan, we love to cover a wide range of things to help you guys understand what it's like to live here and what it might look like to move here. So in today's video, we're covering the top 5 lake communities that you might want to consider when moving here to Southeast Michigan. So again, if you are looking for a lake house, whether it's your primary or your secondary, this is the video for you. So we're going to unpack this. So if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Lets YouTube know I'm doing a great job. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and tap that bell so you're the first to learn about all things living in Michigan. All right, so let's dive in and look at some of these lake communities here in Southeast Michigan. So if you're not from Michigan, I want to put this into perspective for you. There's over 62,000 inland lakes here in Michigan. That's not including the 5 Great Lakes that are around the state. That's inland lakes. Let me say this again, 62,000. I can't even imagine counting all these. Like, there's so many of them. So when it comes to picking the perfect lake community, you have 62,000 options. Like, how hard is that to pick? Now, luckily for you, some of the lakes are a little bit more popular than others. Some of these lakes are probably small, little private lakes. They're no motor lakes. And that's the beautiful thing about lake living is you have different lifestyles. When it comes to a lake, you could live on a big lake, which is all sports. The real estate might be really expensive. You might be really busy on the lake too. I know one of the lakes we're going to cover today, a lot of people love that lake, but they also say it is so busy all the time. It's almost not even enjoyable. Okay, so when it comes to that, you definitely want to take a look at what are some of the weekend activities, what are some of the activities that are going on in the community, and is the lake busy, is it not? Is that something you're even considering when looking at a lake, or are you just saying, I just want the views, right? I just want the views. I don't really care what's going on in the lake. Well, let me tell you, you might, because if wave runners and motorboats, are out there all day long and you don't like the sound of it, well, I think you might have made the wrong decision buying that lake house. So we're going to dive into this, and 62,000 lakes here in Michigan, that's over 1,300 square miles of land coverage that lakes take up. And it's almost 1.3% of the entire state is just water, just all these lakes. Now, first up on our list, we are going to look at Lake St. Clair. I do want to cover this because it is also somewhere that a lot of people like boating, and a lot of people like going for boating activities and lake communities. So when I talk about Lake St. Clair, I'm really talking about, kind of the coastline on the east side of Michigan that runs up from like Grosse Pointe all the way up, and it wraps around Harson's Island and comes over to like the Elginak area. So in between there, you got cities like, St. Clair Shores, Harrison Township, Chesterfield Township, New Baltimore, and then we're getting into like the Harson's Island. Now, the cool thing about all these lake communities is that the draw is Lake St. Clair. And people like to go out to Lake St. Clair. This is where you find a lot of cigarette boats, like a lot of power boats, out there that are just ripping through the waves. And, you see those more so on that open water on the east side of the state. You don't really find that type of boating activity inland. There is no lakes. You got to be on a great lake for that. So if you're into that type of boating activity, those are where you're going to find those. You're also going to find some of the larger yachts, over there. And, this is where I grew up. So living in that type of community, we were always like, whose dad's going to take us out on the boat this weekend? Where are we going to go? And although it doesn't have a lot of frontage, there's only so many homes on the lakefront there. It's not like you can surround it. There's only one side of it. So you have a little bit of frontage, but there's no beach. Right? So that's the downside of living on that side of the lake, is there's really no beach. You can't use the water. You just have the beautiful views. But the weekend activity is what really everyone lives for. Everyone goes out to Harson's Island or Muscatmoot Bay out there. And then every single year, there's a large party called Jobby Nooner. And if you're a boater, you probably know about Jobby Nooner. This is where everybody goes. It's an annual event, for Lake St. Clair, and it's just the biggest blowout. So you have this raft, and you can see, we'll put some aerial photos up here. People just tie off, and it's a whole weekend long event. Everyone's just out on the lake enjoying themselves. There's a sandbar everyone's parked at, so people are drinking in the water. People bring grills out there. Girls are flashing, everything. So watch it if you're taking the kids out there, but it is a really good time, and a lot of people enjoy it. So Lake St. Clair is definitely one. And if you're looking for the average home on Lake St. Clair, it's going to vary, depending on whether you're in Chesterfield, St. Clair Shores, Grosse Pointe. It's going to range anywhere from $800,000 on up into the millions. And the most expensive home on the market right now is listed at $3.9 million, and that's in New Baltimore, Michigan. And the most expensive home that's sold in the past couple of years is $4.1 million, and that was sold in Grosse Pointe, right along Lakeshore Drive. The next community we're going to take a look at is in West Bloomfield and Orchard Lake. Now, this is a little cluster of lakes combined with Orchard Lake, Upper Straits Lake, Pine Lake, and Cass Lake. And this community, although all of these particular lakes are all sports lakes, really fun to be on, it's the location and the real estate that really are the draw here. Some of the homes on these lakes are absolutely monsters. We're going to show some pictures here. These homes are not even like cottages. Like a lot of lake communities, when you think lake communities, we're going to have cottages. These were homes that were built with the intent of making a statement. And some of the most luxury real estate, exists on these lakes, and they're continuing to build homes. I know a couple developers and a couple architects are still building like really, really cool homes on these lakes. But in terms of location, you're right in West Bloomfield and Orchard Lake, which is really centrally located. So if you're somebody that's kind of working in Birmingham, the Royal Oak area, West Bloomfield, that's kind of the hot spot. And these lake homes command a price. The average home in this area for a lake house is going to run you right around $1.6 million. The highest priced home on the market today is listed at $11,999,000. And the most expensive home that has sold over the past couple of years was sold at $4.5 million. All right, so next up on our list is the Fenton area. Now, if you're looking for a lake home in Fenton, you've probably come across Fenton Lake, and that is probably the most recognizable lake in that area. It's also one of the most busiest lakes in the area as well. Now, the love-hate relationship with Fenton Lake, because there's so much activity on it. It's an all-sports lake in that area. There's a lot of jet skis, power boats, just so much stuff happening. And 4th of July is usually the most busiest weekend. Now, somebody always gets hurt, out there because people are skiing, tubing, and it's kind of sad because people have told me it's not even fun to go on the lake. We just avoid it on 4th of July. But Fenton Lake is not the only game in town. You have lakes like Pine Lake, Silver Lake, Lake Ponema, Byram Lake, and a handful of more smaller lakes that are surrounding it. So lake communities in the Fenton area are really kind of what people are drawn to. My in-laws are up on Pine Lake, and it's a no-wake lake. So we love it. We're out on the pontoon pretty much all summer long. The girls are swimming. And that's, for me, as a dad, I love, I grew up water skiing and tubing and all that stuff. But for me now, we'll go to some other lake for that. We don't want that ripping around our lake, but not everyone's like that. If you enjoy that, there's definitely options for that in the Fenton area. The other big draw to the Fenton area for not only lakes is the downtown area, which has been really growing in popularity. So a lot of trendy restaurants are coming down there. They just put in a new restaurant / brewery, which is the Rail Yard. And that place is absolutely phenomenal. We just went there for the first time a couple weeks ago. The girls had a great time. We had a great time. And it's one of those places that's just self-serve. And we love that. So the vibe in the Rail Yard is really kind of laid back. You can order your food, and there's 4 different restaurants. There's a pizza place in there. There's a salad place. There's a smash burger place, which is awesome. And then there was a Tex-Mex place where you can get quesadillas, tacos, things like that. But you can order all those from the same app, go pick those up at the window, and they have outside seating, they have inside seating, they have arcade upstairs, downstairs, they have games all around. So whatever you want to do, there's stuff for the kids to do, there's stuff for the parents to do. And the best part of this place, there was a beer wall. So all you got to do is go up, get a bracelet, and then you go up to the beer wall and you pick the draft that you want, and you hold your bracelet up, you hit a little button, and then it pours for you. You got to pour it. So you just get charged by the glass. So at the end of the night, whatever you drank, you just take your bracelet back and they ring you up, and easy peasy. Now for me, that's great because you don't have to wait for anybody. You don't have to wait, and like, I'm into trying different beers. So like, I don't want a full beer. If I just want a half a beer, game on. I got you, right? You can go in. Now, the only thing I didn't like about it is when you watch bartenders pour, you know, they scrape the foam off. They kind of let the tap run. Well, this one literally just starts counting the minute you pull the tap. So if it's foamy, it's foamy. Now let's get back to the lake homes. You know, enough about the food, and the restaurants are great. Go check out the downtown. But if you're looking to buy a home in the Fenton area, that's going to run you right around $1.2 million on a lake. Of course, you can find cheaper. You can find more expensive too. Average is going to be around 1.2. And then in terms of the most expensive home that is on the market today, it is listed for $5.6 million, and that's on Silver Lake. And the most expensive home sold in Fenton over the past couple of years has been $3.5 million. All right, and next up, we're heading south of Fenton, and we're going to head down to the Brighton and Pinckney area. Now, this area has also been growing in popularity. So if you are familiar with Brighton, you might have heard of Pinckney just because it's a neighboring city, but Brighton really gets its main attraction from the location. It is centrally located right off of 96 and 23 interchange. So perfect location if you're working in Ann Arbor, maybe you're working in Lansing, maybe you're working in Novi. A lot of people are moving to Brighton because you get a little bit more space, and the schools are great. So a lot of other things. I have other videos on the Brighton area. Also, Brighton has a ton of lakes, you know, in the surrounding area. So when you kind of look at the Huron River, it kind of flows right through Brighton. It goes into a lot of the lakes that they're called the Portage chain of lakes, and they're south of Brighton in the Pinckney area, kind of Hamburg, Pinckney, and then it gets down into Dexter. So some of them maybe even be in Washtenaw County, but majority of them are in Livingston County. So we'll get into the Portage chain of lakes, but the most popular lakes, you know, here in Brighton are going to be your Crooked Lakes. Those are right by the Oak Point Country Club. So you got those, and then you got Woodland Lake, Lake Chemung. Then you got a few smaller lakes on the east side of the city, Fonda Lake, Island Lake. So there's a lot of lake communities. And then just south of here, we also got Whitmore Lake, you know, as well. But the Portage chain of lakes also have a ton of options. You got Zuki Lake, Strawberry Lake, Portage Lake, you got Baseline Lake, and all of these are great. You can actually do a whole boat ride from the north part of the chain of lakes all the way down to the south portion. There's channels and canals that you can get in. So they're all connected, which is really cool. So if you're on one of the lakes, it doesn't mean you're exclusively, you know, having to stay on like Strawberry Lake. You can get over to the neighboring lakes as well. And it's a great ride. So if you know somebody on those lakes and they offer to ever take you on the Portage Chain of Lake tours, like, take them up on it. Or if you're going to be moving here and you want to check those lakes out for yourself, let me know, because I do have friends on the lake. And if you are going to be looking at real estate, that's one of the beautiful things. People we know, we can take you out, get you a kind of a coastline tour around the lakes, look at some real estate, and it'd be really fun. So if you have any questions about any of these lakes that I've covered thus far, you know, drop those in the comments below, or let me know what your favorite lake is here in the area, whether it's in Brighton, Fenton, over in West Bloomfield, the Orchard Lake area, or maybe you're on the east side of the state in Lake St Clair. Let me know what lake community vibe you're going for and what you enjoy. Now, if you're looking for a lake house in the Brighton area, the average home is going to run you right around $850,000. Now, the most expensive home on the market currently is listed at $2.4 million, and the most expensive home sold was $2.2 million, and that was on Hidden Lake. Now, Hidden Lake is actually a little private gated community, and the homes in there are absolutely gorgeous. Hidden Lake is really hidden. It's a hidden gem here in Brighton. It's actually in Green Oak Township, so you got the low township taxes, but it's also in Brighton schools. So it's a really desirable, you know, neighborhood that a lot of people really enjoy because that lake is private, the gated community is there, and the homes, like, they're out of this world. Like, the homes are absolutely gorgeous in there. So if you have any questions about Hidden Lake, you know, just let me know. Drop those in the comments below. So last on our list today, we're going to be heading south of Ann Arbor, actually kind of over by the Jackson area, just south of Jackson, and that is the Irish Hills, kind of Brooklyn area. Now, ton of lakes over there. And the reason it's called Irish Hills is because, well, Irish people settled there in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and there just so happened to be a lot of water around there. So they kind of got this name Irish Hills because of all the people that were settling that were Irish. Now, in terms of the lakes that kind of make up Irish Hills, there's a lot of them. There's over 50 lakes in the Irish Hills. Some more west, some more south than others, but they're really comprised of like Clark Lake, Devil's Lake, Brown Lake, Sand Lake, Vineyard Lake, Wampler's Lake, and about 44 other lakes, all ranging from no-wake lakes to all sports lakes. So you really got your pick. Now, beautiful thing about Irish Hills is there's a ton of golf courses down that way. So it's kind of weird when you're driving down, south here in Michigan, but you feel like you're up north. And each of the lake communities has kind of a different vibe. There's some more established lake communities than other. That's usually kind of on the bigger lakes like Devil's Lake, Clark Lake, and the real estate really varies. But the thing I think about the Irish Hills lake communities is there's a lot of smaller homes. There's a lot of cottages. So you have a wide option in terms of the real estate down there, whether you're looking just for a smaller home or a larger home. The prices don't really get crazy. It's not like the Orchard Lake or West Bloomfield area. The highest price home that has sold in the Irish Hills area has been $1.8 million. And the most expensive home on the market right now is 2.1. And it's been on the market for a little bit. So those type of price points don't really come to the market very often, but you can look at the home for yourself. It's absolutely gorgeous. And the average home in the Irish Hills area is going to run you $745,000. And I would say that's the average home on some of the more established bigger lakes. Like I said, Devil's Lake, Clark Lake, where a lot of the real estate has been redeveloped. There's a lot of newer homes in there. Some of the smaller lakes, again, they still have a lot of cottages. So a lot of dirt roads that kind of wind in and out of these lake communities in the Irish Hills. And it's really more of a laid back, like I said, I feel like I'm up north in the Irish Hills. So a lot of people from Ohio, Indiana, Chicago, they actually love vacationing here in the Irish Hills because they get into Michigan, they get into the lake communities. A lot of people are buying second homes. I've actually had friends, real estate friends who are in Indiana reach out and say, hey, Eric, we're looking at a lake house in Michigan. What do you think about this? And they're starting to invest and do short-term rentals in that area as well. So there's a lot of different, little pockets of the Irish Hills to take into consideration when moving. So if you have any questions about the Irish Hills, drop those in the comments below. I'd be happy to answer those. All right, so let's just do a quick overview of these lake communities. You got anything from Lake St Clair going to Harson's Island all the way down to Grosse Pointe along the Lake St Clair kind of shoreline there. And then we're moving over into Orchard Lake, West Bloomfield area. There's also the Commerce area, and that's just in a kind of extension more to the west of Orchard Lake. A lot of lake communities, there as well. That's a very popular Waterford, White Lake. All those areas are really, really popular as well. And then we head over to the Fenton area, which is just west of there. And then heading south into the Brighton, Pinckney area. And then we're heading all the way south into the Irish Hills area. Those are these little pockets. And if you look at lake homes of where some of the most expensive real estate on lakes are, those will come up. You have your pick of the litter, whether you're looking for a little cottage or an absolute gorgeous showstopper of a lake house. Now, depending on what lifestyle you're going for, that's going to really be the question. Do you want an all sports lake? Do you want a more quiet lake? Do you want a very expensive home? Do you not? Or is it just a secondary home? All those things, I can't answer those for you, but I can help point you in the right direction. So like I said, we want to be the best resource for you when making that move here to Michigan. And hopefully this information helps you. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Lets YouTube know we're doing a great job. Give this video a thumbs up. And until next time, go check out these other videos we got about all things Michigan, and we'll catch you on the next one.